लीन सप्लाई पीरियड, और अगर लीन सप्लाई पीरियड में आप करोगे तो यू हैव टू क्रिएट समथिंग काइंड ऑफ एनवायरनमेंट जो कि उस ऑफ सीजन के लिए जरूरी होगा, बिकॉज most of the tomatoes, they love the cold temperature. They don't like the extreme hot. Hot तो ठीक है, but extreme hot climate उनको नहीं चाहिए होता है. So उसके बेसिस पे आपका इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डिजाइन होता है. जब एक बार आपने इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डिजाइन कर लिया, उसके बाद जो आप साइट सिलेक्शन की बात कर रहे हैं, तो एक तो सबसे पहला जो साइट सिलेक्शन में बात होनी चाहिए, ऐसा कोई पैच नहीं हो जहां पे आपका वो होता है वाटर लॉगिंग का प्रॉब्लम हो रहा, बिकॉज लेवलिंग एंड वाटर लॉगिंग इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. अब उसके अलावा जब आप ग्रोइंग सिस्टम में जाते हैं तो आपको एक सबसे पहला जो मेजर काम होता है कि सही वैरायटी और सही टाइमिंग, दिस बोथ आर रियली रियली क्रूशियल. सो अगर आप वो नहीं करोगे तो देन सक्सेस ऑफ क्रॉप प्रोडक्शन इज ऑन स्टेक. ओके, सो these are the basic precautions in terms of the area selection. But while selection, एक और भी चीज होता है कि आपको उस एरिया में ये देखना है कि कहीं ऐसा कोई स्पेसिफिक इंसेक्ट अटैक तो नहीं आता है जिसकी वजह से आपका क्रॉप डैमेज वगैरह होता है, which is going to be a problem for you. So these are the basic precautions we have to look for. Okay. Yeah. Any further question? Any other question? Anyone else? Means I want that people should ask question and interact. So suppose yesterday we talk on basics of hydroponics. So yeah, Shefali, go ahead.
Good morning, Praveenji.
Good morning.
Any minimum requirement of area, like half an acre or 1/4 of an acre, like?
See, area depends on your marketability always. But yes, एक चीज और भी इसी के साथ बहुत क्लियर है कि जैसे जैसे आपका एरिया छोटा होता जाएगा, आपका कैपिटल कॉस्ट जो है बढ़ता जाएगा. सो अगर हम देखें तो एक कॉमर्शियल स्केल का जो प्रोजेक्ट होना चाहिए protected cultivation ka, if we go for a minimum size of an acre is good enough. That is, I'm talking about in terms of infrastructure, not in terms of a management and all. Because aap dekho the fixed jo cost hai, that is the most important thing, like manpower and all. So अगर आपको वो optimization करना है तो it is of around 10 acres of a farm, which means between 10 to 20 acres of a farm. It is going to be economically viable size of any project, because आपका जैसे manpower देखोगे तो वो भी same होगा, उसके साथ साथ आपके consumables भी काफी varied करेंगे अगर आपका project छोटा होगा. But for a pilot, अगर आप pilot project पे जा रहे हो तो pilot project even आपका 1000 या 500 स्क्वायर मीटर में भी कर सकते हो. बट मेरा सजेशन आपको ये होगा कि इन केस अगर आप चाहते हो कि हाँ जी पायलट प्रोजेक्ट मुझे इस तरीके से करना चाहिए जिसमें कि मुझे क्रॉप भी मार्केट में बेच सकूं, मेरा कुछ पैसा निकल आए, तो आपका साइज उसके बेसिस पे होगा कि व्हाट शुड बी में बेच पाऊंगा.
Okay. So 1 acre is, that is what you are saying, is I can't hear you.
Saying that I should go to office. I'll take you around when it is required. What I'll do, I'll just log in from a computer and take. So I'm going back to my office, and I'll connect from there. Moving, I am ready to take further questions. Yeah. So Saifali, you are satisfied, or you have a further follow-up question?
No, yeah, I understood that minimum it should be viable. So I think what you suggest is 1 acre to start with. If we are planning to go for economic, depending on the market. Also, if you can put some thoughts on the selection of crops, choice of crops, is you are saying is that should be as per the market.
एब्सोल्युटली राइट, एब्सोल्युटली राइट। क्रॉप तो आप कोई भी ग्रो कर सकते हो ना, इट डिपेंड्स कि आप उसको किस तरीके से, मार्केट आपका क्या कह रहा है। सो बेस्ड ऑन द मार्केट यू हैव टू डिसाइड योर क्रॉप। सो नन अदर देन मार्केट यू इज गोइंग टू डिसाइड योर क्रॉप, और उसके बेसिस पे फिर आपको इस तरह की जरूरत पड़ता है।
Okay, okay, sure. Thanks.
Sir, I have a question, sir. This is Rajkumar.
At the
Hello.
farm.
Sir, am I
go ahead.
audible?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Sir, because we are talking about polyhouses, is there should we definitely go to polyhouse? Because I see a lot of polyhouse around our KVK. Lot of it.
Audible. There's some disturbance.
Sir, is it okay, sir? Now? Hello?
Yes, yes. Your voice.
Yeah. Is there any rule that we should go to polyhouse in this area and not this in this area, or regarding our marketing capability, can we shift to shade houses rather than polyhouses? Because I see a lot of polyhouses and they built for in one acre, but after 2 years or so, they are in tarnished conditions and they weren't able to maintain that, or they are not enough.
And the kind
They
of a
don't have
cycle
enough
we
knowledge. Hello?
Yeah.
Sir, they don't have enough knowledge on that, and they are also in a confused state what to do in summer, because the maintenance is expensive, because it should be maintained at a congenial temperature for the crops. So what is your suggestion, sir, in such semi-urban or rural areas?
अपने को ये देखना है कि भाई जो बात अपनी कर रहे हैं हम, कि हमको कौन सा स्ट्रक्चर लगाना चाहिए, वो इस पे डिपेंड करता है कि अगर आपकी क्रॉप जो है, सपोज यू सेलेक्टेड अ क्रॉप विच इज ऑफ समथिंग लाइक कूल वेदर क्रॉप, ठीक है। सो आपका ये तो क्लियर है कि यू आर गोइंग टू गेट समथिंग लाइक हायर मार्जिन ड्यूरिंग ऑफ सीजन।
यस सर।
ठीक है, बट आपको ये नहीं पता है कि कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन क्या होगा।
या
सो आपको यहाँ पे बहुत एक फाइन बैलेंस करने की जरूरत है कि एक तरफ तो आपका ये है कि भाई 10 रुपए की चीज 20 रुपए में बिक सकती है, ठीक है।
हाँ सर। Sir, your voice is not audible, sir.
मेरा जो एक्सपेंस है वो एक्सपेंस भी बढ़ के तकरीबन 10 या 11 रुपए का होगा। अब ऐसी सिचुएशन में आप ये बताओ कि आपका नेट प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी तो वही रहेगी ना।
यस सर।
या सो ऐसे केस में मेरा तो सिंपल सा ये सजेशन होता है कि भाई आपको ये देखना है कि भाई हमारे को प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी अच्छी मिलनी चाहिए। सो एक तो होता है कि चलो रन द ईयर प्रोडक्शन करना है, हम चलो फैन एंड पैड लगा।
ओके सर।
दूसरा ऑप्शन होता है कि भाई चलो हम नेचुरली वेंटिलेटेड ग्रीन हाउस लगाते हैं विद सम ऑप्शन ऑफ एक्सटेंडिंग माय दैट समथिंग लाइक, जैसे 6 महीने का ग्रोथ होता है तो हमने नॉर्मल अगर वो दिया तो मेरे को 8 महीने वर्सेस 12 को कॉस्ट वेरिएशन आ रहा है। अगर महीने, जो 6 महीने की क्रॉप थी उसको 8 से 9 महीने तक करते हैं। अब जब 9 महीने की क्रॉप हो गई तो आप लगा देना है पैन एंड पैड, बट मेरा प्रोडक्शन का कॉस्ट ही बढ़ गया तो मैं रियलाइज नहीं कर पा रहा हूं मैंने।
हाँ सर।
ओके
ओके सर।
Yeah, so that's a something kind of balance we need to create.
Okay sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody else have any question? Yes. So some more question, or I shall ask some question. Voice not clear. So am I audible to all, or it is something like everybody is struggling? Engineer Kumar Soni is struggling to hear me.
Sir, there is a stutter in voice in between, sir.
Now it is okay?
Now it is okay, sir. Maybe the signal. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was sitting inside the greenhouse. That's how the problem was. So now I'm inside office, so that's not any problem.
Okay.
Now the internet connectivity will be fine. Yes. So any further question?
Sir, one question
Go ahead.
about height of the polyhouse. If we go for natural ventilation polyhouse, it should be around 6.5 meter. And if we consider the force ventilated polyhouse, height should be around 4 meter or 6.5 meter.
See, जो हाइट डिपेंड करती है, हाइट का मेजर फैक्टर ये होता है कि भाई हमको देखना है कितना वॉल्यूम ऑफ एयर, अगर उस ग्रीन हाउस को देखते हैं हम तो कितना वॉल्यूम उसमें आ रहा है हवा का, तो टोटल वॉल्यूम के बेसिस पे कूलिंग इफेक्ट एंड हीटिंग इफेक्ट इम्पैक्ट ये दोनों डिसाइड होता है। तो इन द एरियाज वेयर वी हैव अ लॉट ऑफ फ्लक्चुएशन, वहां पे इन टेम्परेचर लाइक हाई टेम्परेचर भी होता है, लो टेम्परेचर भी होता है, देयर द हाइट शुड बी हायर. In the areas where we don't have much of a kind of a fluctuation in temperature, you can go for a lower height. And about this greenhouse and all, what we are talking about is the protected kind of a fan and pad greenhouse. So उसमें क्या होता है कि आपको हवा को ठंडा होगा,
Sir, your voice is. Hello, Praveen sir.
okay?
Voice are not coming, sir. Voice are not coming, sir.
Yeah, in
Hello?
between there is a problem.
Okay, let me try and just log into the local network. I'll call. Give me a moment, huh? Hello? So is it better now?
Yeah.
Okay. So now I'm just on 4G, 5G. So you got it? Got the answer for about height?
सर आंसर तो क्लियर है, बट सर जैसे अपन फोर्स वेंटिलेशन पॉली हाउस में हाइट अपन बढ़ाएंगे तो फिर आपको फैन कैपेसिटी बढ़ाना पड़ेगा, बहुत ज्यादा कॉस्ट आपकी बहुत बढ़ जाएगी।
दो चीजें हैं, आपको हाइट बढ़ाने से आपका ऐसा नहीं है कि वॉल्यूम ऑफ एयर में कुछ इशू आने वाला है, ठीक है, क्योंकि वॉल्यूम ऑफ एयर जैसे ही आप लेते हो, वॉल्यूम ऑफ एयर में जो सकिंग करता है, तो वो सकिंग तो वो हवा चाहे पूरे तरीके की हो या आपकी थोड़ी हो, वो तो उसमें से सक करके ले जाएगा ना। Are you getting what I'm
सर
saying?
जैसे आप नहीं सर क्लियर है, बट सर जैसे अपन उसका फैन पैड डिजाइन करते हैं, तो अभी फैन पैड अपन ऐसा डिजाइन करते हैं कि वॉल्यूम फ्लो रेट जो है आपका 1 मिनट्स में पूरा पॉलीहाउस का बाहर कर दे 1 मिनट्स में। तो फिर आप अगर आप हाइट ज्यादा कर देंगे तो वॉल्यूम फ्लो रेट के लिए आपको वो फैन कैपेसिटी तो बढ़ाना पड़ेगा।
So if you just something like recall, I said if we have a top ventilation option, so इसको जो ऑपरेशन जब हम करेंगे तो उस ऑपरेशन में we have to do a such and something like combination कि भाई ऊपर से क्या कहते हैं, हमें जब हवा निकालनी है तो हमने फैन एंड पैड बंद कर दिया और टॉप, and then the moment we need to again something like recirculate, so what is going to happen, your grow zone where the crop is, that temperature will be cooler. See, we need to maintain that microclimate around the crop, not beyond the crop. One second, जब एक बार ठंडा हो गया आपका जो वो है ग्रीन हाउस, तो उसको जब गर्म दोबारा होने में ज्यादा टाइम और एनर्जी लगेगी इफ यू हैव अ हायर वॉल्यूम। बट यस, आई एग्री विथ योर प्रिंसिपल दैट 1 मिनट में पूरा खाली कर देना चाहिए, बट अगर उस प्रिंसिपल से डेविएट करने पे मुझे बेटर रिजल्ट, आर यू गेटिंग दैट? हेलो?
यस, ओके सर, थैंक यू।
सो सबसे बड़ा चीज जो कल भी हम लोगों ने बात किया था, वी हैव टू गो फॉर सम इंडिजिनाइजेशन, सम challenges to the existing principles, and जब तक हम वो नहीं करेंगे हम अपने इन्वायरमेंट में सक्सेसफुली प्रोटेक्टेड कल्टीवेशन नहीं कर पाएंगे। ओके, या so anyone else have any question? Any more question? No. Okay, so let me move for a moment, just a moment, and then
Why sir not coming, sir?
hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So shall we begin for today's topic of component of hydroponics?
Sure.
Okay, so today what we are going to talk on different components of hydroponics, and if we talk about the components, there are two types of a component. One is a hardware and there is a software. So जैसे कल भी मैंने कुछ बातें की थी कि भाई अगर हम बात करते हैं कि हमारा hardware kya hai. So all those things which are kind of used for creating the infrastructure, that is known as hardware. And what we are going to do today, we are going to talk about protected cultivation structures, growing system, irrigation system, fogging system, automation system, agriculture tools and machines, processing and packing, support and operational equipment, RO and chiller and UV lights. Okay. Software means some crop and varieties, crop scheduling, planting process, irrigation scheduling, fogging operation, nutrient management, plant protection, harvest and post-harvest management, and marketing. These are the something kind of a software wala part. So जैसे अभी बात हो रहा था, and अगर हम बात करें greenhouses में, which our colleague Mohammed Muazzam is going to take in detail, but अगर मोटा-मोटा देखें तो हमारे जो हार्डवेयर में ग्रीन हाउस या प्रोटेक्टेड स्ट्रक्चर्स हैं, that is indoor structures where people are using in artificial light. Second is the glass houses, which are basically meant for the areas where the grower need to trap the heat. So glass houses are more common for the areas where we have kind of a cold weather. And then we have a polycarbonate greenhouses, which is somehow is a lower version of a glass houses. So that is a polycarbonate. And then a new concept is retractable greenhouse. Retractable greenhouse means you have an option of creating the kind of whenever you want to open the greenhouse, you can open the roof side and everything. So you have a flexibility the way you can maintain your greenhouse microclimate. So what we were talking about, that fan and pad, but here we have, okay, during the peak sun hours, there is a heat and we can just something like cover or provide shade to our crop. But in the night, we have a pleasant temperature. So we will open the whole greenhouse and create the natural environment. So that's the kind of a retractable greenhouses we have. Then we have a climate control greenhouses, which is kind of a fan and pad greenhouse. Then we have a naturally ventilated greenhouse. After that, we have a net house, high tunnel, low tunnel, and even now in developed countries and in the areas where is also one of the option. So these are the some structures of protected cultivation, or whenever you want to create some microclimate as per your crop. Okay, so if we talk about, this is the indoor one, and always the indoor one is a structure need to be created for the crop which is having really high value. So if you see this crop, this is in Canada, that this cannabis crop is grown in this one, and people are also growing some of the leafies and all, but the scale of operation is quite big. That's how they become economical. To understand the economics of artificial light or indoor production of a normal crops. So whenever you are planning for really high value crop, then you can think for a indoor structure where you are using artificial light, even artificial CO2 and temperature maintenance. So all the things are in control and the crop can perform the way you want. Okay. So this is kind of an indoor farming, which is common in the areas, one, where the scarcity of a sunlight is there. Second, the high value crop. Third is serving customer right at the something like next to him. Means sometimes people are creating these type of indoor facility in a posh area where they can supply a fresh, most fresh produce to nearby restaurants, or in the areas where people are ready and willing to pay high premium for the quality produce. So that's the place where we can go for indoor farming. So next is, if this is also something kind of indoor farming where people are doing the lettuce, but yes, in Indian scenario, I would never suggest to go for indoor farming until and unless we are very sure that we are going to realize the kind of a margin or the kind of a cost of production we are incurring in producing any crop. So until and unless we are sure that, okay, if I'm producing at 10 rupees, we will be able to sell at something like 100% or 50% margin. Otherwise, it is going to be the lost venture. But yes, people will really appreciate the kind of facility you have. People will appreciate that, you are doing a wonderful job, but ultimately the economics will not work for you. So indoor is very, very something like expensive thing in terms of operation, as well as in terms of capex also. So you need to be very, very cautious that how, while taking a decision for going indoor, a kind of a controlled cultivation of any crop. Then second comes the glass houses, which is very common in Europe. And they are really realizing a good return out of this because their weather is such that they can extend their crop duration. That okay, the maximum they are getting a tomato is 180 kg per square meter per year, and that too is from one crop, not from planting two crop. In India, we are trying to accommodate two crop of tomatoes, but it is the cost is because the kind of a greenhouse, glass houses people are constructing there, the kind of a volume they are dealing in is profitable. But yes, again, this glass houses are not for cooling down, it is for trapping the heat. So again, you have to be very cautious that, okay, if I'm going for a glass house with a tall height, because most of the greenhouses, they are of a high, quite a high, the height of greenhouses are very high. Why? Because they want that the inside air should not impact very frequently with the impact of a temperature outside. So that's how they keep means a higher volume, and that's in most of these glass houses, the height goes around 8 to 10 meters. And if you guys see on top of it, the one point I was talking, or I was while responding to somebody's question, I was talking about that avoiding entry of sunlight. If you really want to cool down your greenhouse, you have to ensure lesser entry of the light. And that's why, if you see, that's how this greenhouse is having a shade roof on top of the roof. So by that way, the grower is preventing even entry of light inside the greenhouse. So that is one thing we also need to copy for our structure, but not for the glass houses. Maybe we can also try this for our traditional naturally ventilated greenhouse, and we can understand the impact. So next, if I just go beyond, so next is, this is also another kind of a glass house, but yes, if you see, they create this something like a visitor's path. So they never allow anybody entering in their commercial growing zone. They only allow this walk path to be used for just getting the sense that what the crop is doing. Only the authorized worker and staff can enter in the commercial growing zone. So that's one area of improvement in India we need to follow, and we need to understand that, okay, hygiene is really crucial, not only in a glass house, in any kind of a structure. So minimize the entry of visitors and follow all those precautions which is possible. Even day before yesterday only, I got to know very interesting thing. In Europe, some of the greenhouses, they only, means even the tools, the kind of like scissors, the cutters, the secateurs, they have a separate for every line or every section. So they are restricting the use of that tool to that particular line or particular section. So suppose any plant is infected because of any disease, then they can prevent the spread of that disease or infection from one section to other section. So that's the kind of a hygiene we need to follow. So after glass houses, we have another structure which is known as the polycarbonate. So how this polycarbonate is working? This is something kind of a cheaper version of a glass house, because this is a sheet polycarbonate. Most of the guys knows that it's a 2 layers, and in between a plastic 2 layers, and in between there is a air. So that gives us something kind of an insulation impact. So the cooling impact or the climate control or something kind of maintaining the temperature and humidity become much easier. But again, it's much costlier than your poly houses, but it is significantly cheaper than a glass house. So that is something kind of a structure which is also even created in India. If I see like this type of structures are common in areas a kind of high value crops, and even if I see like this is very common for a research purpose. So research is one area where people are using these type of structure. Hello. Give me.
Hello. Praveen sir, you are muted.
Sorry. So I was talking on the polycarbonate. So this is being again created by the cold climate countries, and their effort was optimizing the cost of infrastructure. So instead of a glass houses, they opted for the polycarbonate houses. The impact of the kind of a climate control is much lower than glass house. But yes, this is one of the possible substitute for glass houses. So polycarbonate is one of the option in protected cultivation, and this is the kind of a sheet. What you have seen the sheet fitted on the roof as well as on the side. So they are of around this type of 2 or 3 layers of this plastic, and in between this is the hole. So the air pockets are created inside this kind of a polycarbonate sheet. So this acts as an insulators. So there are single layer, double layer, triple layer, means whatever you want, you can just get that. So that's the kind of structure which is just reducing the cost of your infrastructure if you're comparing with the glass. So now the next structure is the kind of a retractable greenhouse. What we used to say that this is becoming more popular. Why? Because we need to understand we have a separate set of requirements. So majorly the night temperature is always pleasant, and day temperature required some modification. So considering that, if you want to give our crop a kind of experience where whenever there is a good microclimate, the natural microclimate, so the crop can expose to the natural climate. And whenever there is a harsh climate, you can close your the roof, the side and everything. And you can provide the shade, you can provide the protection. So this is a kind of a hybrid, protected versus open environment. So whenever a grower want to create a protected environment, he can just something like open all kind of a roof, shading, side, everything. So it is not a manual, it is an automated operation. So a single button can close the whole greenhouse and convert into a kind of a protected cultivation. So that is also a good option, but we have to see that how effectively we have to use. So cost is also one of the factors which is still a bit higher on these retractable greenhouse. So let's see, maybe in going forward, we can optimize the cost, and this may be the best solution for the areas where the night temperature and day temperature is having very extreme kind of a difference, means night temperature is very cold and day temperature is very hot, or the delta between day and night temperature or minimum and maximum is quite wide, then this structure is going to work fine here. So this is the kind of a retractable greenhouse. So you have an option whenever you want to give a protected cultivation, is the protected environment, you can just open or means close everything and convert that into a protected structure. And whenever you want to create a natural environment, you can do that. Now, this is the most common kind of greenhouses we used to see in India. And this is known as evaporative cooling system, and it is something fan and pad greenhouse. We used to call it as a fan and pad greenhouse. So if I talk about this, this is a modification of a greenhouse, which is naturally ventilated greenhouse, because the greenhouse created in cold climate, the purpose is how to trap the heat. So that's how it is created. But now we are smart guys and we copied it from the areas where this type of structure were there. Then we started adapting this structure in our hot climate, and then the modification come in picture. We put a fan and pad. So fan is sucking. It's nothing like it's a absolute similarity of the desert cooler. जो एक कूलर हम लोग गर्मी में इस्तेमाल करते हैं, that is the kind of a modification we and principle we are utilizing here. So one side the fan is throwing air out, and other side the air is passing through this pad where the water is just dropping from top to the bottom. So while passing the air from this pad, it absorbs the moisture, and it become something like the air. It helps in keeping air cool. So maybe, I don't know, you guys have observed or not, the crop which is closer to your pad is always something like happier crop for whatever the crop is looking for, cold climate. The precaution for this one is your pad and fan is, one is the gap, the distance between pad and fan should not go beyond, means 30-35 or maximum something like up to 100 meters. It's viable, but beyond 100 it is difficult. So on an average 60 meter is optimal kind of a distance from fan and pad, otherwise the cooling effect will reduce. And second precaution, you have to install your pad and fan from the canopy of crop. It should neither be high, neither be low. Because the purpose of this fan and pad to keep air cool at the crop growing area. So crop canopy area, basically. So these are the two basic precautions we have to take while we are designing this. And this is also again this fan and pad greenhouse. Now this is kind of a naturally ventilated greenhouse we have, which is generally used for areas where the temperature variation is not that significant. Another one is if the temperature variation is really significant and specifically hot climate is there, then your fan and pad greenhouse is recommended. But the areas where the temperature variation is less, then we need to go for a naturally ventilated greenhouse, because this is the OPEX efficient kind of a greenhouse. So here there is nothing like a significant operating cost is required. But in a fan and pad greenhouse, there is a significant kind of operating cost required to run your big fans. So this is again another set of naturally ventilated greenhouse. We need to put this kind of a net at the bottom. Why? Because we have to ensure a better air circulation. अगर हमारा air circulation greenhouse में नहीं होगा, then there is a risk of developing hot air pockets, which is not at all good for your crop growth. So this ventilation is also one of the crucial factor while designing your greenhouses. Now this is something like shade net, and in this shade net there are
sir, one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
One question. Sir, in ventilation, हम डिस्कस करते हैं कि वेंटिलेशन जो होता है सरफेस एरिया का 60% हमको रखना है, तो वो कैसे काउंट होता है?
सी कहने का अगर आप बात करो 60% होना चाहिए, वो 60% is a something kind of estimation. Otherwise what is going to happen, आपका टॉप में थोड़ा ही ऑप्शन होता है, या तो आप एक साइड में आप नेचुरली वेंटिलेटेड करोगे, आई डोंट नो वेदर यू कैन सी और नॉट, आई विल गो बैक, या ये एक ऑप्शन तो ये कि आप इतना खोल रहे हो, एक दूसरा ऑप्शन है कि भाई इधर दोनों तरफ से खोल लो, तो आपके पास ऑप्शन वेंटिलेशन के इतने ही हैं. सो उसका जो वेट है, जो आपका हवा निकलने का वेंट है, वही आप कम ज्यादा कर सकते हो. But I don't see like that 60% air should go out, because very simple thing, आपका फिजिक्स का प्रिंसिपल, जैसे ही आपकी हवा गर्म होगी वो ऊपर की तरफ जाएगी और निकल जाए. So it is nothing like कि भाई आपको एक स्पेसिफिक वो बैरियर करना है, बट यस आपको इतना साइज क्रिएट करनी है जिससे कि आपकी हॉट एयर ऑलवेज बाहर निकल जाए. इट शुड नॉट ट्रैप इन इट. एंड हवा को निकलने के लिए बहुत ज्यादा ऐसा नहीं होता कि एक स्पेसिफिक स्ट्रक्चर या तो आपका वो 60% और 40% और 80% का आपका जो रेशियो है, दैट मे बी मौसम कैन टेल यू बेटर, बट बेसिकली द विड्थ ऑफ ओपनिंग इज एडजस्ट एज पर योर वॉल्यूम. ओके
सर, वन क्वेश्चन इज आल्सो सर कि जो वेंटिलेशन है वो हमको बॉटम से कितना विड्थ के ऊपर रखना है हाइट पे? जस्ट 1 मीटर और आप बॉटम से लगा सकते हैं?
सी वेंटिलेशन का ऐसा देखो, सबसे बड़ा चीज ये होता है कि आपको जो टॉप में आपकी हॉट एयर है उसको आप डिसाइड कैसे करोगे. आपका जो गटर हाइट है, गटर हाइट शुड बी ऑफ योर क्रॉप, जो भी टारगेटेड क्रॉप है. सपोज आप लीफी वेजिटेबल कर रहे हो, तो लीफी वेजिटेबल के लिए आप अगर हाइट कम भी रखोगे तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं, बट अगर वाइन क्रॉप कर रहे हो हाइट कम कर दोगे तो आपका हॉट एयर पॉकेट बहुत क्रॉप के क्लोज हो जाए. So based on the crop geometry, you have to decide the height. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Shall I move forward?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So another is the kind of a shade house, which is something cost-effective way, and people have this type of dome structure. And they also have a flat kind of a thing. They have also slanting kind of a roof. So whatever the way you want, you can create these type of shade net. And shade nets are good for the crops which are not that much affected by something kind of a harsh climatic condition. So basically this is working really fine with all your cucumber or something kind of ये जो अपनी melon family है, and cucumber हो गया, आपका all gourd family है. These are something like working absolutely fine under this shade house. So this is something like a larger structure of a shade house, and then this is high poly tunnel. So this is something like a low cost structure, but giving you all those options where we can create these kind of a structures. Just 2 minutes. And the last one is low tunnel poly house or structures, which is basically used to create a very close microclimate for a very short height, and means the crop is very short heighted. So for that, these are something like kind of a jugaad. So we are creating the jugaad specifically if we talk about for the strawberries. So these are some of the structures what we talk about the greenhouses, and this is ultimately what we are talking about container farming. And even इस तरीके का भी हो रहा है कि कंटेनर में सब कुछ लगा के शिप पे लोड किया और जब तक वो पहुंचता है डेस्टिनेशन में तब तक क्रॉप अच्छे से ग्रो कर जाता है. So that is a container farming is also one of the emerging area, and people are just selling as a container only. Okay. So I'll take a break for 5 minutes, and then again I'll come back and we'll talk on different kind of a growing systems of hydroponics. Okay. So I'll take a little break for 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll again resume. And meantime, if anybody have any question, they can ask. I'm happy to respond on that. Hey, so it looks like we don't have any question, huh? Any question on the protected cultivation structures, which is the kind of hardware of our or shall I ask a question? Okay. Can Sweta tell optimal structure or the best structure for an area having a high humidity? Sweta, can you hear me? Hello? Sweta Ganivar. Or anybody can just share his or her view that in an area where the high humidity prevailed for a long duration. So what is the most ideal structure, protected cultivation structure in that particular area? Anyone who just something like try to understand can share that what is the best structure for high humidity area?
In high humidity area, possibly we will take natural ventilation polyhouse.
Okay, and what is the justification on that?
Because of high humidity, we need to create the airflow, maximum airflow for releasing the humidity. We don't need regular fogger operations for that.
Okay, yeah, Mohammed Ahmed, go ahead.
Yoga.
Yeah.
Fan pad system.
But fan and pad system किस basis पे बता रहे हैं?
इसमें जैसे भी टेम्परेचर होगा अपने इसमें एग्जॉस्ट तो रहता है ना, मॉइस्चर निकल जाएगी.
Okay, चलो. I want to hear from some more guys. कुछ और लोग बताइए कि situation is something kind of a high humidity area. वहां पे आपको कौन सा ग्रीन हाउस सबसे अच्छा होगा?
Sir, I think retractile greenhouse, sir.
Huh?
Retractile greenhouse.
Retractable greenhouse, okay.
Because you can constantly control the temperature. So I feel that is good.
What else? So somebody is saying fan and pad, somebody is saying retractable, somebody is saying kind of a naturally ventilated. So polycarbonate and glass house भी बचा है. बताइए भाई, बताइए फटाफट बताइए, then we can just move forward. Okay, so
indoor structure maybe.
Indoor, okay. Somebody has said indoor also. Net house. Okay. Okay. Hey, so let's try to understand. Even Sweta, I wanted to hear from you, Sweta. Can you just share your thought? Sweta is agronomy. Anyway, so we need to understand there are certain requirements which need to met for managing the better microclimate. So the area where we have a high humidity, अब high humidity है तो वहां पे fan and pad तो कभी भी काम नहीं करेगा. Why? Because already humidity ज्यादा है, द मोमेंट आप पैड पे मॉइस्चर गिरा रहे हो और उसमें से हवा आएगी, फर्दर मॉइस्ट एयर अंदर आप ले रहे हो, सो फैन एंड पैड इज नॉट एट ऑल अ आइडियल और गुड स्ट्रक्चर फॉर द एरियाज वेयर हाई ह्यूमिडिटी इज प्रिवेलिंग. ओके, देन इंडोर ऑल्सो, यस इंडोर तो कर लोगे तो फिर तो आपकी ह्यूमिडिटी वहां पे होगी ही नहीं, तो इंडोर तो इट इज ओके. But yes, again you have to see that what is the operational cost and what is the kind of margin you can generate on your produce. So based on that, you can take a indoor. Then the rest too, like retractable and naturally ventilated greenhouse. Yes, these are the possibilities and these are the good structure for the areas where we have a high humidity. अब जो सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज जो होता है वो ये होता है कि भाई आपकी जो एम्बिएंट ह्यूमिडिटी, जैसे सपोज 80% या 90% की ह्यूमिडिटी है, तो आप उससे कम ज्यादा नहीं कर सकते. उसके लिए तो आपको ऑपरेशनल कॉस्ट इतनी लग जाएगी. डिह्यूमिडिफायर्स आते हैं, वो ह्यूमिडिटी को खींच के उसको पानी में कन्वर्ट कर देते हैं, बट ऑपरेशनल कॉस्ट इज वेरी हाई, विच इज नॉट इकोनॉमिकली फीजिबल. सो only option left is naturally ventilated greenhouse. और एफर्ट ये होता है कि जो भी आपकी एम्बिएंट ह्यूमिडिटी है उतनी ही ह्यूमिडिटी आपकी ग्रीन हाउस के अंदर भी मेंटेन रहे. बट यहां पे होता क्या है कि जैसे सपोज ये आपकी पत्ती है और ये पत्ती क्या कहते हैं आपकी हवा में है और इसके आसपास पूरा सा जो 90% ह्यूमिडिटी है, बिकॉज ह्यूमिडिटी इज वेरी हाई. अब क्या होता है कि स्टोमेटास आर ऑलवेज ऑन द बॉटम ऑफ योर लीफ, तो वो यहां से आपका मॉइस्चर फर्दर रिलीज करेगा. तो क्या होगा कि इस एरिया में जहां पे क्रॉप कैनोपी है वहां पे जो ह्यूमिडिटी है वो 90 से बढ़ के हो सकता है 98% हो जाए. अब 98% ह्यूमिडिटी होने पे, हाई टेम्परेचर होने पे यहाँ पे ग्रेजुअली हॉट एयर पॉकेट डेवलप होता है एंड दैट क्रिएट्स अ ट्रबल फॉर योर क्रॉप. So, naturally ventilated or retractable greenhouse with efficient air circulation option. तो उसमें क्या होगा कि जैसे आप एयर सर्कुलेट करोगे तो यहाँ पे अगर ह्यूमिडिटी बढ़ी तो इसको उसने मिक्स कर दिया उसी में, एंड फिर से वो एम्बिएंट जो ह्यूमिडिटी है उसी का लेवल लेके आ जाता है आपका नेचुरली वेंटिलेटेड ग्रीन हाउस विथ एफिशिएंट एयर सर्कुलेशन. So that is the best structure for areas where high humidity is prevailing. Okay, so let's move for the second one, because you guys need to have a virtual tour also the farm, and then we have to do other things also. Like hardware में जब हम देखते हैं तो growing system की बात आती है, and growing system में we have seen that soilless growing system होता है, और उसके बाद hydroponic growing system होता है, and within that there are different growing medias, and then naturally film technique होती है and deep water culture. अब इन components को let's try to understand different component under these. So if we talk about the grow bags, we talked about the grow bags. So there are different types of a grow bag. So plastic grow bags are available, and then there is white and black. White and black is what? Black is always absorbing the heat. So ये आपका based on the climatic condition. So black is good for the areas where the cold weather is there, and white is good for the areas where hot weather is there. And even if you see, there are plastic trough, maple trough, जो कि एक हम लोग अगर याद करें तो हम लोग क्यारियां बनाया करते थे अपने मीन्स कॉलेज में भी किया है, समथिंग काइंड ऑफ एक्सपेरिमेंटल प्लॉट्स एंड ऑल. तो उसी तरीके की एक प्लास्टिक की बनी बनाई क्यारी आती है जिसको कि अनफोल्ड करो और उसमें क्या कहते हैं आप ग्रोइंग मीडिया डालो, एंड देन यू कैन ग्रो इट. सो दैट इज नोन एज troughs. So one is grow bag, and then grow bag के बाद trough आता है, and even within the grow bag there are single grow bags and there are pallets also. कि वो 1 मीटर का पूरा पैलेट आता है, उसमें 4-5 प्लांट या 3 प्लांट बेस्ड ऑन स्पेसिंग लगता है. So again, if I go beyond this, there are some other. This is again maple trough, and then देयर आर राइजो बैग्स, जो हम कल बात कर रहे थे कि कपड़ों का बैग, so this is one geo fabric which is non woven fabric, उससे बने हुए बैग्स हैं और डिफरेंट साइजेस में आते हैं। और इसी तरीके के बैग्स इवन वी कैन क्रिएट फ्रॉम यूजिंग आवर गनी बैग्स। सो दीज आर द मतलब डिफरेंट ग्रोइंग सिस्टम के ऑप्शंस हैं कि आप इस तरीके की चीजों को यूज करके ग्रो कर सकते हो। एंड देन सॉइल लिस्ट में एक और सिस्टम होता है जो कि ट्रेंच क्रिएट किया जाता है कि मिट्टी में आपने काट दिया और नीचे उसके अंदर लाइनर लगाया और लाइनर लगा के यू हैव जस्ट फिल योर ग्रोइंग मीडिया एंड इंस्टॉल योर ड्रिप इरिगेशन सिस्टम एंड यू ग्रो योर क्रॉप। एंड दिस सिस्टम इज गुड फॉर द एरियाज for the crops which is deep rooted crop. So ऐसी crop के लिए ये trench method is one of the good option. Okay, now we are going for some growing media. So जैसे सबसे बड़ा जो हर जगह मिलने वाला या हर लोगों को पता है, that is the coco peat that comes in something like a bricks, 5 kg bricks. इसका जो जब कभी भी हमें लेना है, we have to take low EC coco peat, which is really something like the most important thing in है, then it is going to create a lot of troubles. So इसको ये जो ब्रिक होता है, ब्रिक को आप पानी में भिगाते हो, एक्सपैंड करता है, उसका जब आप EC लेते हो 1:3 मेथड से, मींस एक वॉल्यूम वाइज एक आपका कोकोपीट का पार्ट होता है एंड 3 वॉल्यूम जो है RO वाटर होता है। उसको जब स्टेयर करके आप उसका EC लेते हैं और EC अगर 0.1 एंड 0.2 से ऊपर हो रहा है तो इट्स मीन दैट कोकोपीट इज ऑफ अ हाई EC which required buffering or washing or treating. Otherwise हाई EC वाले कोकोपीट में आप चाहे जितनी मेहनत कर लो, आप सक्सेस क्रॉप ग्रो नहीं कर सकते। So coco peat is the one growing media. Another is so this one is something like coco bricks, and this one is after expansion, means after soaking in water, the coco peat become a pulverized and smooth, and this is something like kind of a coco peat we have to use for growing, filling in your grow bags. And then there is a perlite also, which is basically the perlite is again is kind of a growing media, but the most crucial thing is this is used for adding more kind of aeration. Just give me a परलाइट बेसिकली उसलिए यूज होता है कि जब अगर कोकोपीट में आपको बेटर एरिएशन करना होता है, तो लाइक यू सी एब्सोल्युटली आपका जो ठंडा एरिया है कोल्ड वेदर में आप सिर्फ परलाइट में भी करोगे तो भी आपकी क्रॉप अच्छी हो जाएगी, बट इन हॉट वेदर्स अगर आपको एरिएशन बढ़ाना है तो कोकोपीट में एक सर्टेन रेशियो में यू हैव टू ऐड योर perlite also, because it's create air pockets and it increase the air content in the growing media. That's how this perlite is used. And basically जो standard mechanism है 20 to 30% by volume, not by weight, by volume 20 to 30% आपका perlite आप मिला सकते हैं कोकोपीट growing media में, ठीक है। Then there is a rock wool also. So rock wool अगर आप देखें तो it is a kind of a growing media having a lot of fibers and having an ability of storing a lot of moisture in it, but again जो गर्मी होती है उससे बहुत तेजी से गर्म होता है, बहुत तेजी से ठंडा होता है, तो इसलिए ये हमारे हॉट क्लाइमेट में उतना पॉपुलर नहीं है, बट जैसे ही हम विंटर की तरफ या कोल्ड क्लाइमेट में जाते हैं it is one of the good growing media. Then even leca ball is also, people are using this with a copy paste method, so here, but this is also good for winter time कि ठंड में अगर आप लीका बॉल के साथ आप अपनी क्रॉप ग्रो कर रहे हो अच्छा है, बट आप गर्मी में करोगे तो आपको ट्रबल, बिकॉज क्या होता है कि इसमें मॉइस्चर जो होल्ड होता है उसका ऑक्सीजन रिलीज हो जाता है, एंड इसमें जो मॉइस्चर होल्ड होता है वो बड़े बड़े पोर्स के अंदर होता है, एंड बहुत तेजी से वो ठंडा या गर्म होता है, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट लीका बॉल में जो क्रॉप ग्रो होती है वो उतनी अच्छी से ग्रो नहीं होती है हॉट क्लाइमेट, बट कोल्ड क्लाइमेट के लिए दिस इज अ गुड मीडिया. एंड देन देयर आर वर्मिकुलाइट. So we need to understand that what is the use of vermiculite. Vermiculite basically is a kind of a compound जिसमें कि थोड़ी सी न्यूट्रिएंट सप्लाई करने की पोटेंशियल है, स्पेसिफिकली रिच इन पोटेशियम एंड phosphatic source of nutrient. So this is used for some of the area where we are developing our nursery. तो उसमें हम मिक्स करते हैं कि सपोज हम नर्सरी में अच्छे से केयर नहीं कर पा रहे हैं तो इसको मिक्स करने से हमारा एटलीस्ट न्यूट्रिशन से seedling struggle nahi karega. So that's how we need to add vermiculite, but for a normal growing we should not use anything. Now if I see like we had the growing system, and now we are going to talk on NFT growing systems components. Okay, so if you see like this is the most common commercial NFT growing system, and in this I want to give you a caution. If you are going for a commercial cultivation, always choose the flat bottom kind of a grow channel, because a flat bottom grow channel is always better because the roots suspend on the flat surface, and it gets a wider surface area for contact with the running water, and because of that the nutrient absorption is always better. So circular pipe is not recommended for commercial growing, but for hobby growing, yes, you can use the circular pipe. So now we'll talk about, like you see here, it is a grow channel and this is a microtube, main pipeline, and then here it is, we have a means flow control wall. So let's try to understand what are other things. This one is, if we talk about, this is a flat bed hydroponic NFT growing system, the flat bed, and this is one of the most kind of suitable for a commercial cultivation. But then we also have a A-frame, which is not that effective in terms of a commercial cultivation, but for a 1 or 2 unit for your own consumption or for pilot testing is good enough. But yes, if we go to the cold climate areas where the temperature variation as per the height is not that significant, this system is working fine. But in Indian condition, this system is struggling. Then we also have the towers. Then tower also is not that effective. Why? Because if we see, the part of the tower will get 100% light, and but sufficient light, and because of that the uniform production in tower is little challenged, and because of that it is maybe good for your hobby hydroponic, for your home purpose, but not that good for a commercial cultivation. So another is deep water culture. The difference, as I mentioned, NFT and deep water culture is the depth of water. So in this, it is sometimes more than a kind of a 12 inches of water layer is always moving. Yes, moving. You have to ensure the moving water, because stagnated water is always depleted significantly in terms of oxygen. Okay. So deep water culture, and if I talk about the NFT, the suitability of these structures are based on the climatic variation. If the extreme of temperature, both the extreme of temperature prevails in any area, this DWC is always better option, because it is having a higher volume of moisture, and because of that it is it takes little longer time to give an impact of kind of temperature in the greenhouse. So that's how, if the temperature fluctuation is lower, then your crop root is happy, and if the root is happy, then your crop productivity is going to be the higher. But I said that if the extreme is there, then you should go with the DWC. but with a caution, if you can efficiently manage your LE. If you are not able to manage LE, then it's better option, go for an FT with an additional option of cooling system in it. The water cooling is specifically. So water need to be cooled before it reaches to your kind of growing system. So if you have that option, then yes, go for that. If you have an efficient option of managing your LE, go for deep water culture. But where the temperature is uniform throughout the year, NFT growing system is always better growing system. So this is again the deep water culture, one of the look I've given you the pictures. And now we are talking about NFT growth channel, which is the most important component of your hardware. So it is of different kind of sizes and also designs. Always opt for openable kind of analysis, help you to easily clean your grow channel whenever as and when required. So give me a moment, just a moment. Yeah. So coming back to this kind of a growth channels. So always opt for top openable flat bottom. So you should not look for anything, something kind of this shape or little, just something like a slanted one. Always go for specific flat bottom, top openable. Top openable means whenever you want to clean it. And either ask the vendor to create a spacing the hole as per the crop requirement, or you can ask for the vendor provide that without making a hole. So you will have a flexibility to make a hole as per your crop spacing requirement. Okay, so these are different types of NFT grow channels are available in the market. So any of that as per your crop you can select. So apart from that, there are irrigation layout, tanks. If I talk about the irrigation system, this is also a kind of a component, hardware component of any hydroponic project. So if you, I don't know, yeah, we haven't done our hydroponic hobby unit designing. So once you will start designing, then we are going to get these things. So like irrigation layout is very, very important before venturing or before finalizing the things. We need to have the layout ready. Then we need to have a storage tank, and then in tanks there are two types. One is the kind of a storage tank where we are recirculating the fertilizer and the nutrient solution, and the second tanks are the fertilizer stock solution where we are creating a concentrated fertilizers. Then pump, filter, supply pipe, main line, subline, lateral, report, venturi, automation. These are the irrigation components. So like if you see, so this type of a layout one must prepare before venturing in or deciding that, okay, this is my requirement, and the layout need to be done by the proposed vendor. So you should be very clear that what he is proposing and what is your requirement. So that's the base, the start point. And then you need to put your kind of a recirculating water tank, and the capacity need to be as per the crop requirement. So that estimation we need to do. And even there are an option of means concrete kind of a water storage tank, or maybe this type of a liner, or even now people are making on the ground kind of putting a liner and putting converting that into a tank. So that is also possible. I think I have, yeah, this and people are using that. So in this, the expense is not that much for digging and creating on all. So only putting these kind of plastic kind of a troughs and liners, you can use that for storing your water tank. So these are something kind of fertilizer stock solutions, like whatever the fertilizer you are creating, because here A, B, C, D. So even एक क्वेश्चन आता है कि कितने फर्टिलाइजर स्टॉक सॉल्यूशन होने चाहिए, तो वो आपकी तो स्टॉक सॉल्यूशन का टैंक रखना पड़ेगा, वो डिपेंड करेगा कि आपकी कितनी क्रॉप है और क्या वेरिएशन करना चाह रहे हो. एंड इवन द पॉसिबिलिटी इज यू जस्ट हैव अ न्यूट्रिएंट टैंक्स फॉर ईच ऑफ न्यूट्रिएंट. So that also possible, but basically people are doing 3 to 4 structure. One is solution A and solution B. Why we need to have separate tanks? Because the fertilizer compatibility an issue, because all the fertilizers are not recommended to dissolve together. So that's how we need to create 2 tanks. Whatever the gelling nutrient, they can be putting in a one tank, and this other need to be put in the second tank. And the third tank need to be pH booster or reducer. So generally in India, we need to reduce the pH, and that's how we need to have an acid tank. So this is the kind of irrigation system, this complete irrigation unit we have. Then these are the different filters. The top one is a sand filter, and this is something like a cyclonic filter, or it is working on a center of gravity kind of a principle. But yes, we need to have that in our irrigation system. Otherwise, the chances and risk of blocking your dripper or choking your dripper is going to be higher, which is tedious work. So it's always better to put a filter before taking the raw water to your irrigation system. And these are something kind of a filter you can just use for, means inline kind of a thing near to your fertilizer unit, or wherever you feel like, okay, sometimes there is a fertilizer is not dissolved. So any kind of a further purification can be done by using these type of inline filters. And then we have a drippers which is used for soilless hydroponics. And if we talk about, there are different sizes of these kind of a LLDP pipe. So these pipes are used for irrigation purposes. And these one are a circular one, and there is a tape kind of irrigation pipes are also they were available, but it is always better to go for a circular one. But for kind of home gardening, you can even go for a flat one also. So then we also have a component which is known as the dripper. While deciding on the dripper, we need to be aware that what is the capacity of my dripper per hour. So liter per hour capacity need to be well understood before deciding that, okay, this is the kind of a dripper we need to go. And the second one is, this is something like inside the pipe, and this is something like on the pipe. So there are 2 types of a dripper. So based on your requirement, you have to opt for that. And within these, there are 2 types. One is the pressure compensatory, and there is another is a normal one. So pressure compensatory is those drippers which only release the moisture once the kind of a required pressure is there. Otherwise, it will not release any moisture or any water. So that's how this is better. If you want to just ensure that whatever the water you are supplying, that much is only going to your crop. So that's the way we can choose on different kind of a drippers. And this is the Venturi, which is a jugaad technique for supplying your fertilizer. Otherwise, people are working on something kind of an automation system where this Venturi is inbuilt somehow. It is not from the external. So this is the external Venturi we can use for feeding our kind of a nutrient solutions. Like if you see here, the water is bypassed from here, and it is again going back to the main stream. So That's the way you can supply your fertilizer, specific customized fertilizer kind of a thing you can use the ventures. And then there are good number of automations are available. Not only the irrigation, there are automations for your greenhouses also. So these are different types of automations, but while deciding, we have to understand that what is my requirement, and never go for something recommendation from the vendor until and unless you are satisfied that this is my requirement, and for that requirement, this is the best automation system we should have. Again, the fogging is another component in your growing. So fogging में दो तरीके का होता है, fogger normal, and उसमें भी 2, 3, 4 different type के like if I see this one is fogger, and then there are even 2 ways also, and even 6 ways also. But based on the requirement, we can decide on what is the best for us. Even the last is the pressure, high pressure fogger. So this also is available. Based on your crop and climatic condition, you have to decide, because the particle size coming out of your fogger is really, really crucial. So even if I talk about the automation, there are greenhouse, climate control, irrigation, fertigation, and fogging. All these type of automation systems are available, which can be considered while designing your project. So automation is really, really important part if you want to maintain the quality. Okay. So these are different kind of automation systems we have. And then there are some tools also comes under this hydroponics, like the seeding trays, the net cups. अब इसमें एक सवाल बहुत आता है, लोग पूछते हैं कि भाई नेट कप का जो साइज हो वो कितना हो. साइज आपका ऑलवेज उतना सिग्निफिकेंट मैटर नहीं करता है, बस केवल यही चीज होता है कि आपका थंब रूल ये होना चाहिए कि नेट कप मस्ट नॉट टच द ग्राउंड. Okay, so these are some of the tools what we can use while doing our hydroponic growing or high-tech commercial. So some of these packaging tools are there. Now, support equipments are RO means for utilizing or for doing a commercial hydroponic. It is always recommended to have RO treated water, because the liberty, the freedom is there. So you can use whatever the quantity or whatever the kind of fertilizer you want to add. Otherwise, what is going to happen? You have to identify, means analyze the complete groundwater, और उसके हिसाब से आप अपनी fertilizer recipe को आपको adjust करना पड़ता है. And then there are some support things. And UV light treatment. So chiller की बात अगर हम बात करते हैं, तो chiller is required because to bring the temperature of water, and it is recommended for NFT or DFT. It is not required for soilless hydroponic with a drip irrigation system. So this is the kind of a UV light treatment. So from one side, the water is always in any commercial farming, the water is always passed through with the UV light treatment. So it kills the microbial population in water. Okay. So with this, we done with the hardware or infrastructure or component of hydroponic is typically hardware.
नायब कडून चालू आहे ना परभणी, 500 रुपये फी.
Okay. So now with this, I am done with my this part of a component, hardware component of hydroponics. I would love to take up any question from you, and then maybe last 10 minutes, I'll take you around greenhouse so you can get the feel that what we are doing here. Yeah. So floor is open for any kind of a question. एक क्वेश्चन पूछना मैंडेटरी है भाई।
सर ये कप साइज जो सिलेक्शन करते हैं एनएफटी में, ये अकॉर्डिंग टू क्रॉप चेंज होता है जैसे?
हाँ जी,
अकॉर्डिंग टू क्रॉप चेंज साइज करना चाहिए कि एक यूनिक साइज हम उसको ले सकते हैं?
क्रॉप के साइज
जैसे
को डिपेंड नहीं होता है, एंड जनरली हम लोग इसमें वही क्रॉप
Sir,
ग्रो करते हैं।
this is
Just wait,
Shehbaz.
wait, Sahbaz, let me finish first one. So नेट कप का जो साइज होता है उसको हम ऐसा नहीं कि क्रॉप के हिसाब से सेलेक्ट करते, बिकॉज इन एनएफटी मोस्ट ऑफ द क्रॉप ग्रोन आर शॉर्ट ड्यूरेशन, एंड जिनका जड़ भी छोटा होता है वैसे ही क्रॉप ग्रो की जाती है। सेकेंड थिंग इज, इसका कोई लिंकेज नहीं है जड़ के बड़े होने से, बिकॉज जो जड़ होती है वो उस नेट कप से निकल के बाहर आपके ग्रोथ चैनल में फैलती है। So there is nothing, only thumb rule is try to avoid that your net cup touches the flowing water. Okay, otherwise rest is fine. So majorly if your net cup is decent size और वो आपका few mm above from the bottom है, so it is perfectly all right. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So yeah, Safali, go ahead.
Yes, sir. This is Shehbaz. सर मैं ये पूछ रहा था कि यूवी लाइट ट्रीटमेंट जो करते हैं, दिस इज नॉट हार्मफुल, इट इज नॉट causing any effect to the crops or means in final product?
नहीं, अल्टीमेटली हम कहाँ पे कर रहे हैं? हम तो वहां पे कर रहे हैं जहां से पानी जा रहा है ना, और हमारा पानी में we are not at all allowing any kind of a microbial population. और अगर microbial population नहीं है, so what is the harm it is going to do?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, Shefali, you raise your hand. Go ahead.
Could you elaborate on the IoT-based sensors? Because I just want to understand like what all is available and how can we,
See, IoT based जो सेंसर्स होते हैं अपना आज की डेट में सेंसर सभी अवेलेबल। हमको ये देखना है कि मेरे को अपनी ग्रोइंग के लिए क्या ऐसी चीजें चाहिए जिससे कि तो one is the EC, second is the pH, third is the moisture, and the fourth is the water temperature in grow zone. इसके बियॉन्ड जाते हैं तो ग्रीन हाउस में अपने को टेम्परेचर, ह्यूमिडिटी एंड लाइट। So मोटा मोटा these are the sensors which is required to automate your whole growing system.
Okay.
Okay.
So
yeah, tell me.
So what all companies, if you have any idea, are providing these kind of sensors or technology?
Good number of companies, बहुत सारे हैं। और अगर देखो तो Hotimax is one of the oldest and they have a costly one, but yes, अगर आप commercial में जा रहे हैं तो you can consider that.
Okay. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, any further question? Yes. Or before that, I want to do one thing for your exercise. So give me a moment. I'll just share that with the one example. And I'll share this sheet in the group. So today's exercise for every group is to design their own hobby hydroponics. Okay. First, let me. You have raised the hand. Go ahead. Ask your question. Hello.
हेलो
Yeah.
या सर मैं ये पूछ रहा था, जो टैंक का जो वाटर टैंक में जो पानी हमारा है उसको कितनी दिनों बाद हम चेंज कर सकते हैं? क्या उसको कंटिन्यू चलते रहने देना है कि चेंज कितनी दिनों बाद करना है?
See, दो ऑप्शन होता है. If you have a something kind of a system where आपको ये पता है कि आप कितना क्या कहते हैं उसमें न्यूट्रिएंट एब्जॉर्ब हुआ और कितना आप मिला रहे हो, तो इट्स मीन यू हैव एन ऑप्शन ऑफ असेसिंग ईच न्यूट्रिएंट्स in your recirculating tank and adjusting your feeding based on that. अगर वो है तो आप पूरे टाइम कभी भी आपको पानी बदलने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती, बट अगर वो नहीं है तो आपको 15-20 या 1 महीने बेस्ड ऑन आपका न्यूट्रिएंट इम्बैलेंस आपको दिखने लगे, क्रॉप पे इम्पैक्ट दिखने लगे, देन यू हैव टू चेंज एट अ साइक्लिक इंटरवल. मे बी 15 दिन हो गया, मे बी 25 दिन हो गया, मे बी 1 महीने हो गया. व्हाई वी नीड टू चेंज? बिकॉज जो हम न्यूट्रिएंट सप्लाई कर रहे हैं वर्सेस जो पौधा खा रहा है उसमें कभी कभी इम्बैलेंस होता है, और अगर वो इम्बैलेंस कंटिन्यूअस चलता रहेगा तो आपकी पूरी फर्टिलाइजर रेसिपी जो है वो इम्बैलेंस हो जाती है. तो अगर वो इम्बैलेंस हो गई उसको फिर से ओरिजिनल उस पे ले आने के लिए वी हैव टू डू मींस रिप्लेस द कंप्लीट सॉल्यूशन एंड देन यू हैव टू गो फॉर द फ्रेश न्यू रेशियो. Okay. So let's understand क्या करना है एज अ हॉबी हाइड्रोपोनिक डिजाइनिंग, क्योंकि अभी हम लोगों ने देखा था कि क्या क्या कंपोनेंट होते हैं, बट यहाँ पे केवल आपको अपना ग्रोइंग सिस्टम के बारे में बात करनी है हॉबी हाइड्रोपोनिक यूनिट के लिए. सपोज प्रवीण इज डूइंग दैट फॉर हिज चॉइस ऑफ क्रॉप टोमेटो. ठीक है, अब टोमेटो क्रॉप के लिए अपने को चाहिए कौन सा ग्रोइंग सिस्टम? दैट इज ऑल्सो इंपॉर्टेंट. So all the kind of a long duration vine crop, they perform good in soilless hydroponics. So soilless hydroponics में हमने करा और मैं इसको विंटर में करूंगा. ठीक है, और मैंने ये प्लान किया कि चलो ज्यादा नहीं, मैं इसको 10 या 20 प्लांट का बनाता हूं. ठीक है, और कोई भी लोकल वैरायटी लगा के करूंगा, और मैं इसको कर रहा हूं दिल्ली में. ठीक है, अब मुझे जब उसमें जाऊंगा मैं तो मुझे क्या क्या चीजों की जरूरत पड़ेगी. जैसे अब सबसे पहला इसी में लिखा हुआ है इन्होंने ग्रो बैग की जरूरत पड़ेगी, और मैंने कहा 20 प्लांट का, तो इन्होंने 30 प्लांट लिए थे, मैं 20 प्लांट लूंगा. कोकोपीट का ये होता है कि एक ब्रिक से 3 बैग भर जाते हैं, तो यहाँ पे आपको 7-5 केजी के ब्रिक होने चाहिए. ठीक है, अब उसके बाद आपका इरिगेशन सिस्टम आता है. इरिगेशन सिस्टम में आपको एजियो ड्रिपर चाहिए होंगे, और अगर एक बैग पे 2 लगा रहे हो तो आपको 40 चाहिए होंगे. देन ड्रिपर इज अगेन आपको हर एक उस पे लगाना पड़ेगा 1. सो ड्रिपर्स आर गोइंग टू बी 20. माइक्रो ट्यूब्स आर गोइंग टू बी 2. सो 2 पर grow bag, so this is going to be 40. LLDP pipe is something like which is काला वाला जो पाइप दिखाया था इरिगेशन का, वो जितनी दूर आपका सिस्टम होगा उतना बड़ा आपको पाइप ले लेना पड़ेगा. पाइप फिटिंग फिर आपको पूरी की भाई जहां टैंक है वहां से पानी आपको जाना है, एंड देन टैंक की कैपेसिटी, पंप की कैपेसिटी एंड सम ऑफ द अदर थिंग्स. सो दैट्स द वर्किंग एवरी ग्रुप हैव टू डू. सो दिस sheet I'm going to share in WhatsApp group, and you guys, I'll delete everything, or maybe I'll leave it as it is, so you guys can, based on your crop and all, you select your, and every group need to present that. Okay, so this I have just shared on your WhatsApp group. Oh, I cannot. So I'll just share with Rahim. Well, this is something like restricted only for admin. Okay.
Oh, in the WhatsApp group. Okay. Just.
Yeah, I'm just sending it to Rahim. So Rahim is going to give you to all of you. Yes, so I share that to Rahim. Dr. Rahim, you have to just distribute among the group members where they can use this seed and develop their own hobby hydroponic unit. And the very simple method, visualize कि भाई टैंक होगा, टैंक से फिर पाइप होगी, पाइप से फिर उसमें वो बैग लगा होता है, बैग में, सो दैट्स द वे यू हैव टू डू काइंड ऑफ डिजाइनिंग, एंड उसमें क्या क्वांटिटी लगेगी, एंड अगर आप उसकी वैल्यू भी डाल देते हो तो वो वैल्यू भी आपका एस्टिमेट करके देगा कि आपकी हॉबी हाइड्रोपोनिक यूनिट कितनी कितनी कॉस्ट करेगी आप. So let me join from my mobile. I'll take. So this is here. So I think host have to allow me. Now I'm just walking towards the greenhouse. Once I'll reach there, I'll just focus on the crop. You guys can see the crop.
Hello, Praveen sir.
Sorry. Hey, can you see the crop here?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is the capsicum grown in soil hydroponics. The bag, rhizo bag, you see the kind of crop we have, and this is something kind of the growing media, and the one what I refer, and the kind of this is the dripper, and this
Not
is
visible, sir. Not visible.
the microtubes. So this side we have all the capsicum. So one section is green, another section is yellow, another section is red one. So we have three sections of capsicum, and this side we are doing some of the leafy vegetables. That too is in grow bag.
Sir, your audio is not video. Yeah, it came.
Video is not looking.
Yeah. Now it's okay.
Yeah, now. So see, this is the kind of coriander we grown in the grow bag.
Sir, your video is not visible. Okay.
Video is not visible.
Yes, in between, sir, video is coming and
Or maybe something kind of network issue. So here we have a kind of a naturally ventilated greenhouse with a shaded on the top and growing different crops. And now if you see, we are measuring our final EC and pH. So whatever we are supplying, one, we have a fertigation unit, and second, we are just collecting that water here, and we are validating whether it is right or there is some modification required. And if you see, we are harvesting our spinach from one side, and just if you see the next other row is already harvested, and this is ready for harvest. And then the next is again coriander is here. So we are doing in a sequence. So one is already harvested, another is in the greenhouse. So this is the green onion we have. We planted some of the chilies also here, the normal hot pepper. These are the sweet peppers, and the other one is a hot pepper. So here, if you see, we have done the pruning process. So we are allowing only 1 or 2 free fruit at one place. You see here, 1 or 2 fruits. So that's the way we are taking only 2 branches. Rest is we already pruned. So that is also really crucial when you are creating your planting geometry. So plant geometry is really important. It means plant training and pruning is really important. So this is the one greenhouse where we are majorly doing the capsicums. And the other greenhouse, majorly we are doing the tomato. So maybe so we have some of this nurseries also ready for different crops. Like this is a basil. We got that nursery ready. So maybe I can take you through. We'll go to the next greenhouse. And I don't know whether you guys can see these fans. Can you see the fan?
yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So the purpose of these fans is circulating the air. So there should not be any hot air pocket. We also have some jalapenos. So, and we are looking for some more pepper varieties, which is used for snacks. So quickly, maybe another 5 minutes, I'll take you to other greenhouse, and then you can proceed for your lunch and followed by doing your exercise. And then we are going to meet at 4. 3, definitely we were supposed to, but you have to do your working before we should meet. Oh. I have to go out. It is lock. So if you see the side, this side is having the insect-proof net. So allowing aeration coming in.
Sir, where is this polyhouse located, sir?
Delhi, Faridabad.
Yes, sir.
So this is the kind of a farm. The promoter is associated with me from past 5 years, and last this is the first year. So we have done a lot of working and all before venturing in this. We studied a lot and visited different places. So if you see, this is the complete greenhouse. Yeah. So this is, you can see the top is openable. So we have that rolling curtain also on the top. So whenever we want to close, we can close the top. We can close this curtain, the side curtain also. So based on the requirement, we can do that. The other greenhouse you can see in the front. So just a few more minutes here. And you can see my cherry tomatoes. So this is the other house with a modified kind of shade net. Here we have a shade net of 80%. So if you see, there are fruit setting started in this cherry tomato. And you can see some of the fruits also. But this climate has adversely impacted the fruiting. You see the fruits. So this is the bunch which is coming up. So this is a kind of a cherry tomato. Then we have tomatoes here, and we have some leafy vegetables. So we are maintaining the whole thing in section wise. So every greenhouse is converted into different sections. So like first two sections are of our tomato. So if you can just look back, the whole tomatoes are there. And if you see this area, this is a kind of a leafy again, because during summer, there was a lot of leafy requirement were there. So like if you see, we have also amaranth, there's a new one and the old ones, all we are growing in hydroponics. And this is something like fenugreek, methi. And also the turmeric, which is well fogged now. People are talking about this crop. You know, I'll show you one more thing, maybe. See, this is what? The hydroponic mooli, the radish. So we got good response on that. We understood how to achieve this kind of root development. So if you see, these are our radish. But yes, we still need to finally standardize the protocol. We are struggling on front of our cucumber, but cucumber is always in trouble. So here you can see the cucumber is in trouble. So this is our ginger, one row of a ginger. And also now the carrot has started coming up. Carrot is also there. And this is beetroot. So basically, this is all about the greenhouse. And if you have any question, you can just ask. I'll just something like tradition. Yeah. So now floor is open for a question, quick questions, and then we'll close the session. Hey, is there any question?
Yes, sir. Hello.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Actually, I have
Go
heard,
ahead.
sir. Yeah, I have heard one instrument that is called hydrobot. There are some 2 to 3 sensors. I think it is combination of that, and it is deep in the water in our tank or yeah. So it is actually existing, or it is just like or it is practically feasible for our the hydroponic unit.
I would not be able to tell you because I have not used that.
Yeah.
Maybe I have to gather that knowledge and then transfer that knowledge. Okay. But this crop is struggling with some of the virus. Yeah. So I'm sorry to say that, but I don't have that knowledge, so I'll not be able to tell you. But if you really want to have that knowledge, then I'll search for that, and then only I can tell you.
Yeah. Sir, whether it is possible to fully automate our hydroponic system by using some type of systems?
See, yes, definitely. Automation is quite possible. The only thing is what you want to automate, that you need to know as a grower.
Yeah. Actually, sir, as I discussed earlier to you regarding some demo plot in our office, in our field. So I will message you personally, or maybe just I have to ask whether it is in knowledge to all the participants. So whatever the components or from where we can purchase to install in our unit, demo unit.
Okay. We can. Hydrobody is something like a name of company, I guess, no?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're talking about the company?
No, not company. Means if it is available in India or maybe other, so how we can purchase, or maybe there is some source for what installing this?
Yeah, I can just something like study and get back to you.
Yeah.
Okay. Surely. Any other question? Okay, then. So we'll close this session here only.
Is this thermal light, sir? Is
what thermal
your
light?
upper side, is this thermal light?
So it's a thermal light with
आपके ऊपर साइड जो नेट लगा हुआ है वो थर्मल नेट है?
Yeah.
80% net.
Illuminate net, but it's a something of 80% because we need to have a less light for the leafy vegetables, and whenever we want higher light, we can just provide that light to the crop. Okay, so we have an option of opening and closing. So that's how I put 80%. My leafies are happy on 80%, but my tomatoes and other are not that happy. Okay, then. So we'll close the session here only, and then we are going to meet at 4. Rahim, you have to just maybe we will log at 3. So if anybody have any query or anything, so I can just clarify that doubts, and then that sheet need to be ready, and one of the group member need to present that if they are designed their own hobby hydroponic unit. Okay.
Yes, sir. I have already shared in the WhatsApp group. So as our schedule, the meeting will start from 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
The participant will be and I will ask you when some theory and some PPT is ready to join.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So at least one group member need to log in from the computer, so he or she can share the screen. So we can just review that, whether they are in the right direction or not. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'll log in at around. Okay then. Bye-bye.
Okay.